Got a budget AR-15 that feels a little basic? What if I told you that you can make it feel like a $1,000 rifle and transform your entire shooting experience with just a few sub $100 upgrades that you can install today? Hey everyone, Josh with AT3 Tactical here. Last year I was on the range in West Texas with a good friend of mine shooting some steel for fun when two younger guys rocked up onto the gun club facilities with their rifles and started to zero. I noticed about halfway through their course of fire that they would only shoot when Daniel and I were on the other end of the range with our handguns, so I got curious and walked over to them to strike up a conversation. You see, Daniel and I have been in the shooting space for a very long time. He and I both have multiple firearms that have well over $5,000 invested into them individually. As I was talking to these guys, it became quickly apparent that they were new shooters and they were a little intimidated and slightly embarrassed by their own firearm setups. Both of them were shooting super budget AR-15 builds from a local gun show like this Radical Firearms AR-15 on the table, and they were trying to figure out how to zero their new Holosun AMS that one of them had just gotten on an Amazon purchase. As it turns out, it was their second trip to the range ever. Now, according to the laws of Facebook, it's my duty as a gun owner to shame these guys for their budget setups. Fortunately, real life isn't a Facebook group. And I don't care if the homies are shooting a Radical Firearms AR-15 they got for $400 or a Knights Armament Company SR-15. The roll mark on the rifle does not matter at all. I just want everyone out on the range shooting and having fun enjoying their Second Amendment rights. We achieve that by sharing knowledge with one another, building a solid local 2A community, and being supportive to shooters from all walks of life, regardless of what their current rifle setups look like. Listen, if you're that young guy from the range in Sweetwater, Texas, who we helped get a proper zero on his rifle, this one and the comments section down below with the AT3 Tactical community is for you. Today we're going to show you how you can easily upgrade a $400 rifle on a $100 budget, because I remember what it was like to be that young guy on the range running a poverty pony. Okay, before we get to the upgrades, we gotta talk about your foundation first. Ammunition, range, and training. If you're brand new to shooting and working with a budget, your first $100 should go here, not shooting accessories. Why? Because 100 rounds at the range is gonna teach you more about your rifle than any upgrade can. It's also gonna improve your shooting far faster than anything else we're gonna talk about today. For ammo, stock up on 5.56. Prices in 2025 are at about 40 cents per round, which is insane. $40 is gonna get you 100 rounds of decent ammunition. You can get a lot of repetitions in with just 100 rounds if you use it properly. Range access varies based on where you're at. Most local ranges are gonna charge between $15 and $25 for a shooting session. You can also get unlimited year-round access to some facilities by looking for local gun clubs. And if you can, invest in training courses from qualified instructors or find experienced shooters in your local community by going to competitions and make some friends. It'll build your confidence and skills, plus expand your pool of resources from experienced shooters in your area, which is gonna be way more valuable than any shiny new part for your gun. All right, you already got ammo, you already got training covered, great. Let's move on. Quick note on optics, guys. A lot of rifles aren't gonna come with any type of sights these days, so you're gonna need something to aim with. A budget red dot like a Siley, a Holosun, or even ours here at AT3 are gonna give you target acquisition and the ability to hit your targets for under $100. You could also just stick with iron sights if you're on a very tight budget and you want to save cash for a more high-end optic later down the road. The Magpul M-Bus set is about $90 and it's going to get the job done. They're rock solid and you really can't go wrong with anything Magpul at all. Either way, make sure you got a sighting system before you upgrade further. You want to be able to accurately aim your rifle before you head to the range looking like a Hollywood movie extra in a bank heist movie. Okay, so first up, magazines. If you just got your first rifle, chances are you don't have a ton of rifle magazines just laying around yet. Trust me, in time you're gonna be finding them everywhere because you have too many of them. But for now, this is something you'll wanna put cash into. There's multiple benefits to having a large number of magazines on hand, and you can save a lot of cash by purchasing them in bulk packages. Don't skimp here, guys. A PMag or Duramag rifle magazine is gonna cost you between $10 and $20 on average. And if you cheap out on the rifle magazine, you're gonna start running into all kinds of problems right out of the gate. So I polled the audience over on Twitter last week, and this is the one thing that came up the most as a required first rifle upgrade. Slings. Slings are essential for carrying and control of your rifle. If you're planning on doing any sort of training whatsoever, you're probably going to want a sling so that you don't have to keep setting your rifle down every time you need to get your hands free to do something during a course of fire. The ultimate sling, in my opinion, is going to be hands down the 2-point Blue Force Gear Vickers sling. These are usually going to run you right around $50 to $55, but they have a pull tab that makes them super easy to adjust. The first time I used one of these was in 2014 out in California, and I'll be honest guys, it's been a mainstay on every rifle I've owned ever since. The simplicity combined with the adjustability and cost just can't be topped. That said, if the Blue Force gear isn't your style because you need something a little more versatile, the Magpul MS3QD is going to run you about 50 bucks as well, and it can be both a single point and a 2-point sling. So if you're a single point guy that wants the option to run a 2-point sling from time to time, this might be the way to go for you. Spoiler time. If you've got a poverty pony, it's likely got one of the cheapest mil-spec triggers that money can buy in it. Thinking back to our friends at the range in Sweetwater, this is the one thing that I noticed when I was shooting their rifles. The main thing that immediately set their $300 gun show rifles apart from my $5,000 Mark 18 build was the trigger components. Upgrading your rifle's trigger with a $100 option might be the single most substantial thing that you can do to make a budget rifle feel like a much better firearm. And a lot of the best firearms instructors on our Twitter poll actually agreed with me on this. Learning the fundamentals becomes a lot easier when you're not fighting your trigger every step of the way. You can get a Battle Arms Development Enhanced trigger or our AT3 Tactical 2-stage trigger, both for under $100. If you wait for a Black Friday sale, you can get the LaRue MBT2S for under 100 bucks, around $87 or so. And also, this is such an important piece of the puzzle, I'd even recommend waiting a little bit longer to slap a $150 Geissele in there. Because going slightly over budget on your trigger is going to be worth it in the long run on this one. If you guys want to learn more about triggers, and I suggest you do, check out episode 11 of our AR-15 guide. It should be a card in the upper right-hand corner right about now. Quick word on financing here, guys. Since we're talking about going over budget with the trigger, options like Afterpay and ShopPay exist, but you shouldn't use them unless it's a killer deal you're just absolutely never gonna find again, or you can pay that debt back in the very near future. You should avoid debt at all costs. Don't treat your rifle like it's a credit card splurge. Plan smart, budget wisely. I don't wanna hear about any of you guys financing Taco Bell on Grubhub either. I swear I'll come for you. Okay, moving on to lights. This is another super common theme in our Twitter poll last week. For low light shooting, having a weapon mounted light on your rifle is awesome. You can get the Streamlight ProTac 350 lumen light for around $104.95, which is just over our $100 budget. And then you can also find the 400 lumen weapon mounted light from Inforce on TaxSwap and the secondary market, usually for around 60 to 100 bucks. Both of them are great budget lights, but it barely scratches the surface in what's available out there. Not only are lights going to improve the look and feel of your rifle, giving you a little bit more personalization of your AR-15, but they're also going to act as a force multiplier for the weapon, giving you the ability to engage targets and train in low light situations, which opens up more opportunities for you to train and network with other shooters in your area. Building your community is half the fun, guys, and the people who shoot in low light and in the dark are definitely the guys that you want to know, because they're the ones out putting in the work and time, even when the conditions aren't great. Before we get too much more into improving the ergonomics of your weapon, let's take a tactical pause. If this is your first rifle and it's a budget build, there's a few things that you need to know. Your tolerances aren't going to be exactly perfect all the time, and you likely can't shove 5,000 rounds of ammo through this thing without cleaning it. Don't skip out or skimp on your cleaning gear. Seriously, clean your gun. Pause the video right now. I'm talking to you, Greg. I know your gun's in the safe right now looking like Anakin Skywalker after a pod race. Go! If you don't already have a solid set of tools for cleaning your gun, this is probably one of those things you should rectify. For $35, you can get the Real Avid AR-15 Gun Boss, and for $95, you can get the Otis 5.56 Defender Kit. Both of these are going to come with everything you need for basic firearms maintenance, which is going to help you out in two ways. First, guys, a clean gun runs better. Second, frequent firearms maintenance is going to help you become a better shooter by helping you understand what's actually happening when your weapon has a malfunction. Intimately knowing the parts of your firearm through frequent weapons maintenance is going to help you have a better understanding of how the firearm works, which is going to help you rectify malfunctions faster. If you want to splurge here, guys, it's not a bad idea, especially if you're planning on getting more firearms in the future. The Wheeler's AR Armorer's Essential Kit is going to run you about $125. At a minimum, at least go get yourself a bore snake. All right, back to ergonomics. Except for you, Greg, you go clean your rifle. For most people, when we talk about ergonomics, we're talking about the things that you can immediately feel when you're holding the rifle. This is your pistol grip, it's your buttstock, it's your rail system. In the case of this rifle, and surprisingly a lot of the less expensive options on the market today, we don't always need to do a whole ton of upgrades. On this Radical Firearms AR-15, we've already got a B5 stock and pistol grip, which are two of my favorite choices when it comes to rifle furniture anyway, so we really don't need to upgrade these. So let's talk forward grips instead. We got a lot of options here. The BCM Gunfighter forward grip's about $20, guys. It's pretty much my go-to, and I have a box of these sitting somewhere in my basement. It's also the Magpul AFG, which is gonna be about $30, and it's gonna promote a natural wrist position. The Urasaka Defense Hand Stop is also $30, and it works great for you grip clamp C shooters out there.
The grip clamp C?
Okay, pause. But Josh, I'm a wrong-handed shooter. None of these address my very specific needs. It's okay, guys, I get it. All shooters are born right-handed, and only the best overcome it. At least that's what all the best extreme long-range shooters keep telling me anyways. For my lefties, it's okay. There's ambi controls, and they really make a huge difference. The Breek Arms Warhammer charging handle is about $45, and it has oversized latches for easy use no matter where you're at. The Radian Raptor is a similar setup that's gonna cost about $75 and be a little bit more durable. Also, I really can't recommend getting an ambi safety enough, even if you're a right-handed shooter, because it lets you disengage from either side, which is just, it's gonna help you with the manual of arms on the rifle. These upgrades are gonna make it more comfortable if you're a southpaw, and fortunately they're super cheap because y'all have been on the warpath ever since the bullpup was invented. From all of that, it should be apparent that you have a lot of options for improving your poverty pony, guys, and turning it into something a little bit more range ready. Now you gotta start asking yourself some hard questions so you can get the priorities of work going for this build. Remember, guys, you can do this in phases. You don't have to drop all of the cash up front and upgrade all of these things all at once. You can do it in bite-sized chunks, and it's gonna improve the rifle every time you go to the range. Guys, I want you to get out of the range and shoot your rifle bone stock first with the magazine it came with and whatever sight you chose to start. Bring a buddy with you who's a little bit further along in the process as well, so you can compare your rifle to something that's a little bit more complete. If you've never shot another rifle before, this is going to be a critical step in figuring out where your rifle is lacking in certain areas. As you shoot, take notes of anything in particular that the rifle is doing that's making your life difficult. Maybe you find out that the mil-spec trigger is perfectly fine for you and you don't need to upgrade it at all. This is all going to be discovered while you're out in the range. Prioritize your upgrades based on the performance of the rifle. Your needs are going to end up being a little bit different than mine, but here's how I built out our Radical Firearms rifle after a couple trips to the range. First, I already have ammunition and range access and a solid background taking courses and working with firearms, guys. I also have a plethora of cleaning gear and more magazines than I know what to do with, so I get to skip all of those steps. You might not. My first upgrade to the rifle was the Blue Force Gear Vickers sling, and let me tell you, it was a drag having to put my rifle down on the table every time I needed to head down range and pace over replace targets. This, while definitely showing my bias towards my favorite sling, enabled me to keep the rifle on my body and let me add in working with the sling while handling the weapon. The total cost here is about 50 bucks. Next, man, that trigger had to go. The mil-spec trigger in the Radical Firearms rifle wasn't the worst trigger I've ever shot with, but it was far from the best. I put the Battle Arms Development Enhanced trigger in here. It's a single stage mil-spec trigger, but the difference between this and the trigger that comes stock with the rifle is night and day. It also only added about $65 to the build while getting me a nickel boron trigger, which is a little easier to clean. I could have stopped there, and honestly, the rifle would have been a huge improvement, but I decided to keep going. We added an Enforce WML that I got on tax swap for 60 bucks and a BCM Gunfighter forward grip, and that only cost me 20 bucks. I also added this ambi safety. Total cost on that was about $25, but I have a bunch of them just sitting around, so I didn't pay anything for it. The grand total, including the rifle and the optic, was $720, and I have a rifle that's relatively easy to train with, and it definitely gets the job done. Now, is it winning any Gucci Rifle of the Week prizes on Reddit? Not at all. Does it get me out to the range shooting with the boys? Absolutely, and that's exactly what I wanted out of this. There you have it, folks. That's how you turn your poverty pony into a range-ready beast without breaking the bank. Whether you're that Sweetwater shooter or a new kid starting out on an extreme budget, I hope something here helps you make your rifle uniquely yours. If you wanted even more you on a budget, check out this video of CJ painting an AR-15.